Hi, I am really glad that you're here. In a world that's largely based on social media appearance and other meaningless things, it's really rare to hear people speak from an unfiltered, genuine, heartfelt place. I'm your host, Lacy Hartselle, and This is Temporary is a safe, casual, non judgmental space for you to hear from other people's experiences with their mental health. And through this, I hope you can see that all of our voices are powerful enough to help other people feel seen and heard and validated. Because even when you feel like it, you're not alone.
Are you afraid of what's next? Me too, me too. You've seen the best.
Hello, everyone. Wow. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to This is Temporary. So grateful to be kind of impromptu recording this. I knew I wanted to record something around the holidays, but to be honest, the holidays are really challenging for me historically, and this year follows suit. But just because something is challenging doesn't mean that we can't do it or we shouldn't do it. Just means it's challenging. And so, as I've mentioned on the podcast before, my therapist always tells me that I'm really good at struggling. And a friend recently reminded me that, if waves are emotions that come and go and just kind of wash through us, but aren't necessarily defining us, that we're surfers. So I'm a really good struggle surfer. So there's that. And cheers to all of you struggle surfers out there with me. I don't know if the holidays are hard for you, whoever's listening to this. Welcome. Thank you for listening and sharing in a little patch of time right now where I hope we can focus on connection, on healing, on purpose in the pain, if that's what you're facing, but on the good, focusing on the good. Because I think that, with the duality that exists everywhere, there's always going to be an option and a choice of, do I want to focus on the light or the dark here? And sometimes you need to focus on the dark. But for me, I enjoy focusing more on the light. I say that and I laugh because I'm also an Enneagram 4 for you Enneagram people out there. And I'm like, but I like to brood, and I really feel those like tidal waves when they come, so that I can let it completely wash through me and cleanse me almost, so that I can then allow the full high of the rise, kind of the breakthrough after the breakdown to really be fun and joyful. And I've been reading, that'd be a fun thing to start with. I've been reading a bunch of books and rereading a bunch of books this past year, but one of them recently was The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and he talked a lot about expanding or raising our tolerance for joy, and how we live in a society that, humankind in general has a very high tolerance for pain. I mean, we were built for survival, especially historically speaking. But as we've evolved, we've been able to expand our capacity for connection and meaning, and creating connection that involves very deep communication that a lot of us are still learning how to access, how to be healthy and mindful and empathetic in our ways of communicating with other people. Using I statements is a very healthy way to approach a conversation with someone or a conflict with someone, so that you're expressing and validating your side of things, but also leaving space for their experience that's different than yours or could be different than yours. And then going, how did you experience that? Just leaving room to validate everyone's point of view and feelings is very important. I try to practice every single day, even saying out loud, I am expanding my capacity for joy today. And I'm not gonna, or I'm trying to not bring myself down when I feel like my system is being triggered by joy and being afraid to hope. Like, oh no, I know what this did last time. I plummeted after a high. So instead of fearing the slam that's ahead because I'm at a high, I'm just going to enjoy the high. And I'm trying to, and I'm just trying to be very present and very mindful. And another book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, I mean, he talks a lot about making habits very attractive and very accessible, very easy, very much convenient, even short, because it's kind of the ritual of starting a habit that eases you into, well, once I started, I guess I'm committing to it at this point, but it's getting yourself to show up and start that's hard. And don't I know it, especially in these winter months in Nashville. It's not the coldest, although tonight it's supposed to drop to 2. That's why I'm in a tacky Christmas sweater. For those of you looking at this YouTube video, for those of you listening in, it's a tacky 80s Christmas sweater. And I did a photo shoot this morning, so my makeup is stronger than usual. So for me, showing up for myself and my mental health has been going outside on walks. I know I will feel better if I walk, and I struggle with feeling a little overreactive, or sometimes I just feel like I wake up with everything kind of stacked against me. I've been trying to just show up for myself and be like, you know what? It's okay if you don't want to walk an hour today. Just walk as much as you feel, but at least get yourself out the door to start the walk, even if it's 6 minutes. It's something that I showed up for, and I moved my body and I tried. And there are days where it's like, oh gosh, I have to stack my habits, which James Clear talks about as well. I feel more productive when I'm literally walking and listening to his book at the same time, because I'm like, hey, two birds with one stone. I'm learning, I'm listening, I'm growing, I'm walking. Bam, 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 bam. That helps me personally. I also did a little thing where I reached out to people on my Instagram story, and I just said, what helps you feel better? And people said things like meditation and yoga, going outside for a walk, listening to their favorite podcast, eating well, taking naps, treating yourself to Starbucks, running, morning routines, a lot about routines and discipline. Discipline is a big one for me, because I realized, especially as someone who's very emotional, I don't think it's just bipolar people, but people in general that feel like their mood kind of navigates their days. I was leaning too much into that and almost using it as an excuse, I feel like, because I would be like, but I'm just not motivated. And I was just waiting for motivation to return, when I was kind of overlooking the fact that if I disciplined myself to do it anyway, even if I didn't feel like it, that the feelings sometimes just meet you there. Sometimes they don't. But then again, if you did something good for you, you're going to feel at least a 1 degree better than not having done it. It's kind of like the people who, like, because there was a lot of people saying the gym and working out, and not overlooking the fact that working out is a huge benefit to your mental health and releasing dopamine. There's the, cosmetic approach to like working out to feel good, look good, all that kind of stuff. Look good, then you feel good. But in general, for me, it's that dopamine release that's like, whoa. And then I feel awake. And it's, for me, it's so funny. I'm known to be a very high energy person, and that's true. It is true. I have high energy. But I think because I'm so used to my high energy, and I'm used to people expecting that from me, that if I don't have it, I start to feel like I start to get into that kind of depressive zone, to be honest. I'm like, what's wrong with me now that I don't have energy? What does that mean? Versus just trying to move more towards a space of acceptance. That helped me. I don't know about y'all, but I hate feeling stuck. And so that acceptance has really helped me realize that stuck is a mindset, versus a place. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to that where you can be like, oh, I know I'm literally stuck. I bet the person who had their arm stuck, what's that movie, like 127 hours or whatever? It's like, no, that was literally stuck. Although you can go somewhere in your mind, dissociation, to cope with literally being stuck. If I tell myself, yeah, it feels like I'm stuck, but if I zoom out and I trust a bigger picture that I can't fully see yet, that's always there. It's always there. We just can't always see it. But trust that there is purpose here. There is, like, this isn't a waste. I think that's what really bothers me, is when I feel like time and energy is wasted. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people struggle at the end of relationships, or when you're phasing out of moving on to a new transition, whatever that looks like, that change in life, that it might feel like you wasted your time with a person or with a place or with a job. And for me, I don't know, I guess this is why I love aging, but I've started to see, well, not only is hindsight 2020, but everything I've been through has played a part in leading me to where I am now. And I am really grateful for where I am now. I guess there's a lot that I can't really say yet, about where exactly I am now. I'm trying to think of what all I can say. There will be an announcement coming out in the next month, and more will be revealed with time about a very exciting opportunity, that an adventure that I am really glad I decided to lean in and take the risk to do in France, my favorite place. Y'all know me. I mean, come on, there's an Eiffel Tower there. That's a picture of France. Yeah, more on that later. Yeah, there's this that's just that. But what I can say is that I really do see through all the struggles, through all the tough times, which always have been, including last week. Last week, gosh, well, last week was all pretty much a struggle. 2 days in particular, it was like such incredible, like tidal wave of emotion, just sobbing on and off for 2 whole days within a span of 3 days. And my eyes were swollen. Like, I was like, I can't remember the last time I cried this hard where my eyes were like all the lids were just basically swollen. And I'm really glad I gave myself the space to let that move through me. It needed to, clearly. And oftentimes, I don't have to get so caught up in why. I can just let it go, Because I think oftentimes it's stuff that words can't even fully touch, even if you could find out the reason. For me, it was a couple triggers related to suicide. I mean, with my own suicidal ideation, I've struggled with for a decade. It's been a while, thankfully, since that's been my personal struggle of facing. But even a year ago, if I'm being candid, I remember struggling with that this time last year and losing friends to that, family. I think it just rocked me because I felt the collective conscious grief. I felt the helplessness. I felt the hopelessness. I felt the shock of people when it feels like we just don't have the words. We just have the feelings and we don't even know how to express them, what feels appropriate. I always start with, your feelings are valid. My feelings are valid. Everyone's feelings are valid. That's just true. And there's no shame in suicide. There's no shame in suicidal ideation. There's no shame in mental health. There's no shame in the diagnoses. There's just no shame. I really have grown to a place, and I actually listened to one of my first podcast episodes last week, and I have a lot of grace for my younger self and how much I did know then and how much I didn't know then, but how I was still showing up and doing my best with what I did know. It's the best we can do. And we've got to give ourselves more grace. We've got to give ourselves more gentleness and love, all the things that we yearn for and have often lacked, which resort to these outpours of emotion or depression phases or anxiety or panic or however it manifests or shows up in your life or your loved ones' lives. For me, I've just learned that there's far more to it than some label or some way to write someone off. It's like, even if you can't say and explain why you feel a certain way, it doesn't mean that you aren't allowed and valid in feeling that way, and giving yourself the space to treat it like you would a physical thing. If you're down physically, you're going to take some time off, right? So just a reminder to love on yourself and treat yourself honestly like that little inner child that's in there that needed a very healthy adult to come in and care for them in a loving, compassionate, understanding way. I also thought about when I was really struggling those couple of days and feeling it all and just really upset knowing that my suicidal ideation in my life has come from many things, a collection of things, but it kind of goes to a root of feeling purposeless, feeling hopeless, feeling helpless, feeling like I'm feeling too much and there's no point, and It's like I just feel like it's kind of you can't get your head above the water and it's just too much. That's a very quick way to sum up something very complex. Nevertheless, I realized, and this is maybe going to sound simple, but for me, it's kind of been things that I realized, wow, why didn't I realize that sooner? Or all along, that's too simple, but it's not so complicated after all. It's like if I'm feeling helpless, then I have to claim that I am helpful, that I can interpret that however I want. But I start by saying it because words have power. They're magical. It's why we literally spell words, cast a spell with a word, say, I am helpful. And then you start to believe you're helpful. And then you start to act like you're helpful. And then you start to see that you're helpful and experience that. And I mean, a lot of people talk about service in their healing journeys, but that can look like so many different things. I mean, helping yourself even is, in my opinion, one of the best things you can do ever, especially growing up as a woman in the South, like feeling like my purpose was to be helpful, to be pleasant to others. I wasn't taught to listen to myself, to honor myself, to address myself first. I was always taught to look outward for approval. And I've learned it is such a holy thing to do, whatever that word means to you. But for me, that just means very pure. It's a very pure and good thing to do, to turn inwards and to honor yourself, honor your needs, honor your emotions, and to take care of yourself, to help yourself so that you feel helpful and not helpless. And to know that I am taking actions to help myself feel better, even though I don't feel it yet. I trust that I will because I am taking action and action creates change. And then also hopeless. So if I'm feeling hopeless, then I try to start, even when I don't feel like it. Y'all might think this is funny. Sometimes it is funny. I'll literally be like, I'm hopeful. Like, just like gritting through my teeth and or crying. And I'm just like, I'm hopeful, and I say I'm grateful all the time when, like, shit happens to me, or things go wrong or not according to the way I want, and I spill my coffee, or if something that I was counting on doesn't work out, it's just like or if someone lets me down, I'm very quick to be like, now, I just say I'm grateful, and it is often sarcastic, but you know what? It turns into putting, like, a spin and a humor on it that I think connects me to the bigger picture, to the higher self, to the, however you want to view that, whatever works for you. But it's this ability to go, okay, look at me, this cute little human trying to get it together. Aw, you're so cute. And you all fucking are. And it's just that there can be, especially on the hard days, an attention to more of the physical, keep yourself just going or get to bed earlier and get some sleep and get this day over with sooner, so that we don't get too stuck in our heads, that whole paralysis by analysis or just stuck in the negativity. If your head doesn't feel like a safe space that day, work on getting it to a safe space, but also try not to spend so much time in your head. That's what I try. I feel like just saying I'm hopeful, I am hoping, I am hope. Sometimes it's even the word itself. Like if you say I am love, because you can say I am loving or I am loved, that works too. But if you say I am love, then it's kind of a really empowering connection to the divine, to the greater power, to the creator universe, whatever you call this, whatever that means to you, your higher self. But it's a reminder that we're limitless, that we're capable of anything, that words have power. We spell them out in order to speak into existence what we want to experience. And I read the book Existential Kink, which I may have talked about before in the podcast. It's a little edgy, but I love it. Caroline Elliott is the writer. And oh my gosh, she talks about how having is evidence of wanting. And that really helped me realize the victimhood that I was participating in my whole life. But instead of being like, oh my God, I played a victim my whole life. Instead of seeing that, I just was like, I had more compassion and understanding of like, oh, that was serving a purpose of something I needed to experience. In order to know who I am, I have to know who I'm not. Now I know I'm not a victim. When something bad happens to me, or somebody projects something onto me, instead of having, and still struggle, again, this is how we learn, people, it's not like I get it all right now. What would be the point of me still being here? I'm here to learn, I'm here to grow, I'm here to evolve. And that means, failing until I succeed, and I fail again and I succeed again, and celebrating the failures as much as the high times, the wins, the victories, because I know, or I try to know with that greater perspective, that it's all serving a purpose, that it's all necessary. We can accept it all and not have to make such a big, catastrophe of it all, unless you want to. And that's your prerogative. So you do you, boo boo. Because I definitely thrived on the drama for a long time. And I mean, I know I am bipolar, but I think for the longest time, most of my 20s, I thought that was my only option. I thought, this is just who I am. I'm just dramatic. I just react big, and I get triggered by everything. And mindfulness and trauma therapy and life experience helped me to see I can choose a more peaceful path. I can choose healthier communication styles. I can validate myself and step out of shame so that I don't have to be so taking everything personally. And I can see that when other people come at me with stuff, it's more of a reflection of how they talk to themselves and treat themselves than it is what they think of me. And I think very highly of me, which is also validated for me by my close circle. And that's enough. So I'm just, yeah, I'm really obsessed with aging. I'm 29. I turned 30 in March. But I said that my 29th year would be would be a year of growth and adventure. And it has been that. I am trying to think about some of my other favorite books. I might have mentioned in episodes back from this summer. Obviously, anything Brene Brown, you'll know I'm obsessed. For talking about like sexual healing and sexuality, Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. Wow. Obviously, Dr. Nicole LePera, the holistic psychologist. I love her. How to Do the Work. One that I loved was The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck. Incredible. Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Amazing. Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Saad. Wow. There's just always more work we can be doing. And I am excited for that. I'm excited to grow. I'm excited to learn and to face myself and to see all these internalized beliefs that I've been given and that society and conditioning, family structure has given me as I've been doing, all of my 20s, but to look at them and go, what holds up and serves me versus what doesn't? A lot of it I've exposed early on, but I'm still catching parts and working through with my therapist. I went to therapy today, and I was like, I'm trying to have a kinder approach to myself and to others when it comes to like, hey, that's where you are. And that's beautiful, as long as you're not proactively hurting someone else. So a huge part of why I wanted to do an episode right now is because, yeah, for me, the holiday season, when it gets cold, when things start to just like simultaneously slow down and speed up, and then there's traffic everywhere and everyone's honking at you, it's like supposed to be holiday type spirit, but then really you're just getting honked at and everything's kind of a clusterfuck, and we're all like buying gifts out of obligation. And I don't know, man, seasons are weird. And I understand, and some people with their religious approach to it, like for me, it's just take care of yourself. Get out of it what you want to get out of it. What makes you feel good? Focus on that. You don't have to play everyone else's rules. You don't have to get out of this what other people want you to get. You get to take your, this is my life. I get to honor myself. If I want to live it this way, handle it that way, while still, engaging with people or doing the traditions, whatever you have to do, but just know, like, have your boundaries and you have your free will. Like, you can validate yourself. If no one else understands you and your family at a big family gathering or gets you, just enjoy your own little headspace that you've created, that I hope is a safe space that's like, yo, I'm the only me here on this planet, and I'm happy to be me, even if no one gets me. Although I really hope that you have people in your life who get you, because I think that is one of the most beautiful human experiences. And you are worth being understood. You are worthy of the love you want and crave. You are so loved. I think that's what really got to me last week, too, is knowing what it feels like to not be able to feel loved or feeling like you're only loved based on approval and condition. And no one's external life can reflect their internal life. I think people often, I mean, it's the whole don't judge a book by its cover, but people still do it. And you're not alone. But just a reminder that you don't know what someone is dealing with based on what their Instagram looks like, based on what their life looks like, or, how they show up and present in public. There's a whole internal life that a lot of people haven't felt safe enough to share. And I am hoping really, really hard for a safe space for everyone to be able to share yourself, to share what you feel, to share what you think because it's valuable and it matters. It really fucking matters. It matters more than anything. We each have a light. I mean, that's why I love namaste. The light in me salutes the light in you. Just one version of understanding that word and concept. And it's this ability to see the God self in each other and how valuable we all are, how we all are love and light, how we all are worthy and equal and filled with limitless potential. That's, I think, what breaks my heart the most is knowing that I personally know what it feels like to not feel seen and heard and validated and loved and enough. But I know that other people feel that. And that is what connects us. Our pain connects us. That's why I do this podcast. It's often times I'm like, why do I need to, the same voices that kept me from creating it for 2 years in the first place? I was just like, why my voice? Why, but I was like, but why not? Because I do get it. I do understand. And I did create it out of a necessity for community, for connection, for paying it forward as far as all the stuff. I have been fortunate. I've had the privilege of being able to have help in psychiatry and therapy and trauma therapy, intensive programs. I know that that's not available to everyone. And it's also hard to find a good therapist, a good, psychiatric help and all of that. I do encourage if, you're struggling, and if you have access, to find an outlet for that. And I just think therapy is the most, and there are things in life that can be therapeutic, but are not therapy. Like going on a walk is therapeutic. My acting class is therapeutic, but it's not therapy. Therapy is designed to bring you back to your self-awareness and have accountability and proactive steps towards healing your life, healing your, maybe patterns that aren't serving you in your life and where you might have limiting self-beliefs, etc. Just a reminder from me, a person who understands the things I've mentioned. I definitely am so grateful and give so much credit to, like I said, all of the access to the help I've had, but also to myself because I have spent my 20s making so many mistakes and yeah, failing a lot. But it's how I've learned and I've grown into a person who still makes mistakes, but a person who I am really proud to be. And I see that even though I have struggled this holiday season with emotions, that's been okay. I haven't had the same like dramatic, and like the I guess the intensity or the duration, as my therapist would word it, of the emotions that I've had in the past that would just tear me down and bring me to a place where I would find myself just in a suicidal ideation of like, why? And now I'm like, okay, I have more understanding and acceptance and management skills and community. To be honest, I've had to choose boundaries and choose healthy coping skills that I've been disciplined in repeating, and also choosing healthy people around surrounding me to be able to lift myself up higher and higher, lift my vibration up higher, to manifest, to be intentional with my words and my actions, and to own up and take accountability to my, blips where I'm like, oh, wow, that was a gap on my part. But even still, it's now I'm seeing, because I've dealt with so much hopelessness in my life, and that's been a huge root of my depressions, which I still wave through. But now, like I said, I see myself and I sense myself zooming out more now and going, okay, this is temporary. Hence the name of the podcast. This is a wave. It will pass. I've got people I can reach out to. I'm more proactive at reaching out. I don't isolate quite as hard now. And I can find like the healthy solitude side of it rather than the like negative, toxic isolating, which is what I used to kind of brood into. But then I looked at myself and I said, Lacy, you were doing that on purpose. I was playing the victim. And I have a lot of grace for my younger self, myself last year that did that, because I was figuring stuff out. So no matter where you are, I am happy that you're here. I am happy that you exist. I am proud of you for making it through this day so far. And I listen to a meditation sometimes that in the morning or at night, but I like it in the morning. It says, today is another opportunity to feel the feelings you want to feel. And that, I just know on days that I listen to it, it really helps, because I go, well, I want to feel joy. And then it becomes a focus of, it's a goal of mine. So maybe I'll intentionally I'll play songs and then find myself letting myself dance and not give a fuck, and just getting into my body, feeling playful, feeling childlike. And it makes a world of a difference, because those little moments create these memories that put you in your body. They're sensory. And that, to a very core level, is what it's all about. It's sensory experience of life that snaps you into your body, puts you in the moment. It's like hugging a loved one, or eating a good meal that you cooked with someone you care about, or being outside and smelling the fresh air and going on a hike and sweating and feeling your muscles. It's like all of it, hugging an animal. It's just, wow, listening to music. And that don't overlook how much those moments can help you when you really surrender to them. I'm not anymore, because I really turn to them to cope when I'm struggling. I'll come back to the holidays. I don't know if and what you're celebrating these holidays, but I hope you celebrate yourself. I hope that you feel worthy of celebration, because you are. It's amazing that we got to wake up today and be alive, when there's so many things with my anxious brain where I'm like, so many things could go wrong. How have we made it this far? But I'm like, oh my God, I'm still here. Wow. And I'm really glad you're here. Yeah. I'm trying to be hope, and every day is not going to be easy for that, but I'm going to try. And because I know what hopelessness feels like, I know what I am not. I'm going to focus on what I am. And I'm saying I am hope, and you are hope. You're limitless. You can be whatever you want to be. This new year that's coming up is going to be good. I'm saying that. I'm saying that for you. I'm saying that for me. It's whatever we choose for it to be, because we have so much more power than we realize. And manifestation is strong. And there were days where, especially in my early bipolar experiences, I would think my whole day was ruined because I had one big overreaction. And then I started to learn with time, I can restart at any second. I can reset at any second. It's only, mindset and shame and fear and things like that want to hold you back, but don't have to. So always give yourself more grace no matter what. Liberate yourself. You don't have to carry the shame that was put on you. It actually does not come from inside of us. It's something we have to accept from outside of us. And a lot of us are trained into that at a young age, but it doesn't mean you have to carry it now. You can thank yourself for protecting you through everything you've been through up until this point. But, look at yourself now and go, what do I actually need now? Do I need that defensive, reactive response at this point in my life? It's like, I've created a safe space, or I'm working on creating a safe space for me now, where I can take deep breaths and I can remind my body that I am safe. I'm protecting myself. I'm in control. I'm in charge now. And I can handle what's in front of me. And you can handle what's in front of you too. I am praying and manifesting, speaking love, light, healing, and expanded capacity and tolerance for joy, for peace, for love, for hope, for goodness, all the things, acceptance, the wisdom to be able to look at it all and know that it all has purpose, even the heavy times. We're not going to shit on those either. We're not going to judge everything good or bad. That's very binary. We're going to have an open mind of, okay, all right, so this is what's happening. I accept it. I'm going to do my best, and that's enough. And I am loved. I am limitless. I'm creating a good life, and I am proud of myself. You can repeat those for yourself. You're all good things. That's all I have to say. Good tidings to all kinds of things coming up. I might be going to a holiday party tonight, or it might be a snowstorm, and I might not. But I am grateful that I could spend this time rambling about mental health and love and healing and growth, expansion. All good things too. Mwah. Thank you very much.